Remember when a Vegas buffet felt like the greatest deal in America? When you could walk into any casino, hand over a couple of bills, and walk out feeling like you'd just eaten at a royal banquet? When families could actually afford to sit down together, pile their plates high, and enjoy a real meal without checking their bank accounts? Those weren't just dinners. They were traditions, rituals. And for millions of visitors, they were part of what made Las Vegas feel warm, welcoming, and alive. But today, what was once a symbol of generosity has become a casualty of corporate greed. Buffets didn't die overnight. They were slowly starved to death. One price hike, one cutback, one temporary closure at a time. This is the story of how Las Vegas took something beloved and slowly turned it into a luxury only the wealthy can afford.
Part 1. The Humble Beginnings. Long before Vegas was neon lights and billion-dollar resorts, it was a dusty desert stop chasing big dreams. Gambling was legal, entertainment was growing, but casinos had one big problem. Late-night players were getting hungry. The shows ended, the restaurants closed, and gamblers were leaving the buildings in search of food. So, early casino operators came up with a simple idea. Feed them cheaply, and they'll stay longer. Buffets weren't created to impress anyone. They were created to keep gamblers inside. A few cold cuts, a couple of hot pans of food, and a sign that might as well have said, "Eat all you want as long as you don't stop gambling." It worked better than anyone expected. Casinos quickly realized something. The buffet wasn't just a meal. It was a promise. A promise that even the little guy, the bus driver, the electrician, the school teacher, deserved to feel like a high roller for a night.
Part 2. The Golden Age of Buffets. As the 60s, 70s, and 80s rolled in, Vegas buffets exploded in popularity. What started as midnight snacks turned into full-scale spreads. Prices were silly cheap. Lines wrapped around corners, and casinos didn't care if they lost money on the food because they knew you'd spend 20 times that on the casino floor afterward. Buffets became a way for casinos to say, "Come on in, we'll take care of you." And people believed them. What made those old buffets magical wasn't the quality. It was the feeling. Dad loading up on roast beef, mom grabbing shrimp cocktail. A buffet wasn't just a place to eat. It was where families made memories, where vacationers bonded, where locals celebrated birthdays, holidays, and Sunday dinners. It was community, served on a warm plate.
Part 3. The Super Buffet Revolution. By the early 1990s, something wild happened. Casinos realized buffets could be more than cheap attractions. They could be spectacle. All around town, properties began launching massive, over-the-top super buffets designed to outdo each other. Suddenly, buffets weren't just meals. They were experiences. Hundreds of dishes, stations from all over the world, carving tables, seafood towers, custom grills, gourmet pastries. Casinos funneled millions into making buffets destinations in their own right, and people traveled from across the country just to eat at them. The buffet became an icon of Vegas excess, but still at prices the average family could handle. Even when prices hit $20, then $30, people didn't complain because the value was undeniable. Then came the luxury era. Properties competed not just on quantity, but on quality, like prime rib carved to order, made-to-order omelets, sushi counters, French pastries, ice sculptures, live cooking stations. Buffets transformed from loss leaders into bragging rights. This was the peak, the height of the Vegas buffet. No one knew it at the time, but it would never get better than this.
Part 4. When corporate Vegas smelled blood. As casinos grew into billion-dollar corporations, the philosophy changed. Vegas went from, how can we take care of our guests, to how much can we extract from them? Executives began to question the old-school logic. Why offer cheap food when you could charge premium prices? Slowly, everything shifted. Prices crept up, lines got longer, menus got smaller. Local buffets were downsized or closed entirely. Then came 2020, and everything changed in an instant. The global shutdown gave casinos the perfect excuse to do something they'd wanted to do for years: kill the buffet. What was pitched as a temporary closure became permanent for dozens of beloved buffet spots. Casinos cited health protocols, staffing shortages, and food waste. But the truth was simpler. Buffets don't make money. Food halls do. Upscale restaurants do. $20 sandwiches do. A buffet was an investment in loyalty, something corporate Vegas no longer cared about. Before 2020, over 70 buffets in Las Vegas. Today, barely a dozen survivors. The math tells the story. So does the heartbreak. Locals lost their gathering spots, visitors lost affordable meals, and families lost the last place where everyone could sit together without worrying about the bill. What replaced them? Trendy food halls, boutique vendors, artisanal everything. Basically, food courts with strip pricing. Corporate Vegas bet that people would pay whatever they charged, and sadly, many did.
Part 5. The price explosion. As buffet after buffet closed, something subtle and dangerous began to happen. The remaining buffets started raising their prices. Not slowly, not gradually, almost overnight. The same buffets that once advertised $7.99 all you can eat were suddenly charging $49.99, $59.99, even $79.99 for dinner. And at first, people justified it. Well, everything is more expensive these days. It's Vegas. You pay for the experience. It's still cheaper than ordering multiple dishes at a restaurant. But the increases didn't stop. Prices jumped again, and then again, and then again. Soon, a simple dinner buffet cost as much as a steakhouse. And if you're bringing a family, forget it. A family of 4 easily spends $300 to $500 at some buffets before drinks, tax, or tip. And that raises an uncomfortable truth. Buffets used to be the great equalizer. Now they're a dividing line between those who can afford to eat well and those who can't. Even worse, the higher price didn't guarantee higher quality. Many buffets cut seafood nights, carved stations, fresh omelets, or premium desserts, while raising prices anyway. Casinos realized that people weren't paying for the food anymore. They were paying for the Vegas experience. Translation: you're being charged extra for nostalgia. Buffets were no longer about feeding guests. They were about squeezing every possible dollar out of them. The old Vegas logic, give them value and they'll come back, was dead. The new logic replaced it. Charge as much as the market will tolerate, and if people complain, who cares? 1 million new tourists will replace them. This mindset changed everything. Families that used to hit 2 or 3 buffets per trip now skip them entirely. Locals who once visited weekly haven't been back in years. Visitors who loved buffets for their affordability now see them as luxuries. And worst of all, casinos look at the expensive buffets that still survive and say, see, people are still paying. This must be working. It's a self-fulfilling cycle. Prices rise, fewer people go, buffets close, surviving buffets raise prices even more. Buffets didn't just get more expensive, they were pushed out of reach for the very people who loved them most.
Part 6. What we lost.
When the buffets died, Las Vegas didn't just lose a meal. It lost a ritual. Buffets were woven into the fabric of Vegas culture. They were where families launched their vacations, locals celebrated birthdays, friends met before a show, couples recovered from long nights out, 3 generations shared one table. Buffets had something no food hall can buy: togetherness. Everyone could find something to eat, everyone could sit together, everyone could enjoy real conversation without the pressure of a server asking if you're still working on that. But the loss goes deeper. Buffets were a quiet reminder of what Vegas used to stand for: simple pleasures, generosity, hospitality. Vegas today feels different, colder, more transactional, more corporate, and the buffet closures symbolize that shift better than anything else. You can feel it when you walk down the strip. Every decision feels optimized for maximum spending. Every corner feels monetized. Every experience feels engineered. What replaced the buffets? Trendy food halls with neon signs and curated artisanal vendors serving $22 sandwiches, $16 tacos, $25 chicken bowls, $12 donuts, $9 bottled water. Families can't eat together because every vendor has different prices, different wait times, different menus, and no guarantee there's even seating available. There's no ceremony, no tradition, no joy. Locals feel it even more. For decades, buffets were their Sunday tradition, a place where grandparents, parents, kids, and cousins gathered without needing a reservation or a loan. Those memories don't exist for the next generation. And that's the tragedy. Vegas didn't just lose buffets. It lost the heart that made those buffets special. Buffets didn't survive because of cheap food. They survived because of what they represented. That Vegas welcomed everyone, not just the wealthy. Today, that promise feels like a fading memory.
Part 7. The Last Beacons of Old Vegas. Although the buffet landscape is unrecognizable compared to 20 years ago, a handful of survivors still carry the torch. Properties that refuse to abandon the values that made Vegas famous. These buffets aren't glamorous. They don't get flashy ad campaigns. They're not posted on influencer TikToks with ring lights and royalty-free music. But they serve something priceless: authenticity. Some off-strip casinos deliberately kept prices reasonable. They know their customers aren't whales or high-rolling tourists. They're families, locals, and regular visitors who want a good meal without financial pain. Places like off-strip casinos that stayed loyal to their core audience, locals casinos that see food as hospitality, not profit centers, smaller ethnic buffets around town offering incredible value, the rare strip buffets still trying to honor their legacy. These places don't chase trends, they don't nickel and dime, they understand the unspoken truth. Buffets are about community. You can feel the difference immediately. The lines are friendlier, the staff know returning customers, the vibe feels less like a revenue machine and more like a gathering place. There's something meaningful about eating next to people who remember what Vegas used to be, who appreciate value, who understand tradition, who feel just as nostalgic as you do. Every plate in these buffets carries a reminder. Vegas doesn't have to be expensive to be great. Vegas doesn't have to be exclusive to be magical. Vegas doesn't have to be redesigned for corporate profits to survive. These buffets prove a simple truth. There's still a market for kindness, still a market for value, still a market for the old Vegas spirit. They may not last forever, but while they're here, they're worth supporting, not just for the food itself, but for what they represent. When you choose these places, you're not just eating. You're taking a stand. You're voting with your wallet. You're choosing a version of Vegas that deserves to live on.
The story of the Las Vegas buffet isn't just about food. It's a mirror reflecting what's happened to the city as a whole. A place built on generosity slowly learned to prioritize profit. A tradition rooted in taking care of the little guy was replaced by pricing models designed for corporations. An experience meant for everyone became an experience meant for only a few. But this story isn't finished. The future of Vegas isn't determined by executives and boardrooms. It's shaped by the people who visit, the locals who live there, and the communities that care about what the city becomes. Every time someone chooses a value buffet over a trendy, overpriced food hall, every time they share a memory of the Vegas they loved, every time they speak up about what they miss, they're keeping the conversation alive. Buffets may be disappearing, but the idea behind them doesn't have to. Vegas should be a place where families can eat together, where locals can enjoy themselves without going broke, where visitors feel welcomed, not targeted, where memories are made, not monetized. So what's your buffet story? Did you grow up going to buffets with your parents? Did you celebrate a birthday or a win or even a loss with a trip to your favorite spread? Is there a buffet you miss the most? Or one you still support today because it still feels like Vegas? Share your story in the comments, because if enough people speak up, Vegas listens. The soul of this city isn't in its slot machines or its mega resorts. It's in the people who believe Vegas should still be a place where everyone, not just the wealthy, can enjoy a taste of the good life. And that's a tradition worth fighting for, one plate at a time.